lovely Austin, welcome. I am so excited to be here with someone I'm a big fan of. Here at the Inc. Founders House for this really awesome conversation with this really awesome woman. You guys know Ashley Tisdale. Yes, you know her very well from iconic roles, High School Musical, The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, sorry. But today, she's making waves in an entirely different space, wellness and beauty. Ashley is the founder of Being Frenshe, a brand that's all about self-care through scent, which is really important and we're going to talk a lot about, creating products designed to support both body and mind. What started as a passion project inspired by her own wellness journey has become a major success. You guys know that too. It's on shelves in every Target nationwide and even cited in their latest earnings report as a customer favorite. It's continuing to grow and recently expanded into hair care. We are going to dive into what it's been like for her to go from entertainment to entrepreneurship, the challenges of building a brand, and what's next for Frenshe. So I'm just going to jump right in. You good?
Yeah.
Okay. So you launched Being Frenshe exclusively with Target, which is such a big freaking deal. What's been the biggest learning curve about scaling your business so fast?
Yeah, I think for me, obviously having the idea of what I was doing was exciting and, I felt really good about it, but then it's how you execute it. And I think that was a really big learning for me because I think I was nervous. There's a lot of celebrity brands, and for me, this was really about, my own rituals at home and my authentic story through wellness, which is my mental health. And so I really wanted to make sure that people knew how invested I was in this company and that it was really coming from me. And so, it was hard because I had the scent name, and then also I had to kind of explain to the consumer that there is a mood boosting scent in it as well. And so I had this crazy idea to convince my team to allow me to travel to all these amazing locations I was like, okay, I need to explain that this is how it makes you feel, because the whole point of this line is to give yourself a moment. And I really wanted everyone to understand by just the image that that's really gonna, it's gonna take you to this place. And so, it's also just like getting a team together and having them understand your vision and executing that. So that was a really kind of big learning lesson for me. And it's cool to see that all those intuitive ideas, actually worked.
I love that you say that you bring up intuition, because I feel like, especially for women in business, that sort of gets short shrift, but it's so important and it's so beneficial. It's sort of like a superpower. But I want to step it back for a minute. And, you've really had such an incredible career. You've gone from star to entrepreneur. What was the moment that made you say, I want to do this new thing. I want to do something different?
It was actually a long time before Being Frenshe and was a thing. Like I had this crazy idea. I wanted to be CEO of this makeup line that I had. It was a branding deal, and I was like, I had all these great ideas for it, and so I was just like, oh, I want to be CEO. Instagram makes it look so easy. So I actually had taken it over and got an investment, and it was the most stressful thing I've ever done in my life. It's actually what I went through personally with the mental health. I was really stressed. I was having anxiety. I was meeting with all these Western and Eastern practitioners thinking something was truly wrong with me, and they were like, it's just anxiety. But they taught me so much about, what's in our makeup products and just kind of how wellness could really be a beneficial thing for our mental health. And so that was really the start, and I remember failing at that. I was not doing well in that company. I was like by myself trying to find a team. And actually I remember reaching out to my partner, who's my partner on this line, and I was like, okay, I can't do this. I'm going to reach out to this person. I have their email and their phone number, and I had it from a friend. And I was like, do you want to do this makeup line with me? And they were like, we're a really big fan of yours, but we don't take over makeup lines. And I was like, oh, okay. And it was just something that I was like, you know what, okay, I've failed at this, and it was really hard for me, and I definitely had moments where I just felt defeated and cried and had insomnia and researched celebrities who failed, and made me feel a little bit better. So I honestly, I started Frenshe, which was a blog about my wellness and how it was through mental health. And it really wasn't, it wasn't me thinking I was coming out with products. I actually was like, I'm not going to go into products again after what I experienced. But my partner emailed me and was like, hey, and this was, honestly, it was like a year and a half later. It really was a short amount of time. And he was like, you know, we really love what you're doing with Frenshe, and we want to create something with you. And I was like, I don't do products anymore. Like, I've done that before. And they were like, no, please, like, we want to sit down with you. And so I think it was like this dream and this idea. And to be honest, I wanted that line in Target. And so when I failed, I was like, I'm never having that dream. Like, that's sailed. And so it's so crazy, because I always say this, it's just how you pick yourself up after failure, because seeing the line at Target, that was like already a success for me. I was like, I don't know who's gonna buy this, and I don't care if anyone buys it.
Me, I do.
Thanks. But I was like, I did it. You know, I did it. I'm here, and I'm looking at my products in Target, and I thought it was a dream that was just never gonna happen. So yeah, there was no real intention that I was like, Being Frenshe was like, you know, it just kind of, my journey guided me there. And to see it be so successful is just like the cherry on top.
Can you tell us actually, so Frenshe, Being Frenshe, can you talk to us about the name, like how?
My married name is French. My husband's right over there. And when I married my husband, I felt like, you know, he's sober. He's 18 years sober. So yes. He's done a lot of work, internal work on himself before he met me. And I think he just really inspired me. I really did have, and I still do have anxiety, but I really did have, you know, a moment in time where it was like not okay for me anymore. And my husband's like, you need to figure this out. And so I honestly, you guys, I went through so many names on GoDaddy and nothing was available. So I was like on vacation and I thought everyone calls him French. And I was like, Frenshe. And then I was like, oh, Frenshe. And I was like, that's kind of cool. And no one had that on GoDaddy. So that's how it worked.
Thank God. So it's rooted in the emotional power of scent and making wellness affordable, so it doesn't feel like it's a splurge, but like it's something that you can incorporate into every single day, no matter who you are. Can you tell us about why is fragrance so centered for you in your journey and in your products?
Yeah, it's something that I've always loved candles. I've always been obsessed with candles. I think that when I had the worst nights of insomnia, I realized, like, I read a lot of books about anxiety and depression and stuff. And one of the things it always talks about is like starting the day new and changing the energy. And I felt like when I opened a window and like lit a candle, that would change the energy that day, even if I had a rough night. So that is really kind of my connection to scent. And I also felt like it really does. There are candles that I'll burn today that will remind me of something like in that moment of time. So I really just started to be like, oh my gosh, it's always been something I love. And I was excited to obviously incorporate it in this line. And I didn't realize when I was creating it, like I have a lot of like elevated scents. And so I think that's what everyone loves about it, because it's affordable. But so many people are like, oh my gosh, it smells like the Labo. Or like people ask me what I'm wearing and I'll be like, Being Frenshe. And they're like, it smells like Byredo. It's like, so I was just excited to make something in the wellness space that was affordable, because that's what Frenshe was all about. I felt like we were kind of being taught that if you wanted to have a cleaner lifestyle, that it was expensive. And I was like, if it's expensive for me, I can't imagine someone following me. So yeah, I was excited to take I didn't know I was so good at coming up with scents. I feel very validated now, because so many people, like my favorite TikToks are when people are like, we need to talk to Ashley Tisdale and talk about moon milk. And I'm like, oh my God, like when you're creating something, you don't know if anyone else is going to like it. And so to see so many people have their favorites and love it, it just means so much to me.
What advice would you have for the you who is launching this business? Like, now that you're where you are, and this business is still very young, incredibly well established, but still very young. But so looking back at the you launching the thing, what would you say to her? What advice do you wish that she had?
I mean, I would tell myself a lot of different things, but I would say always follow your intuition for sure. And have a reason why you're doing it. I think the bigger reason of what I'm doing is not to just sell products. Like, my reason for doing this was to truly connect with people and to make people feel less alone in their mental health journey. And so when we do events, it's not just like, come take pictures and like look at my product. We do events that are experiences, to where I love having people have such a great experience and doing all these different kinds of events. But it's like we sit around at this one glamping event that we did, and we're like around this fire pit, and we're just talking about, like, some influencers are talking about how they were, diagnosed with bipolar. And it's like we're all connecting. And to me, I'm like, whatever I can do. That's why I started talking about my own mental health years ago, is because I just felt like no one was talking about it. And I had personally lost somebody to depression. And I just felt like we need to start talking about it. Like, all of us go through it. And I think at this point, we've all have had anxiety at some point in our life in the last couple of years. So I guess I just want to make people feel less alone. And so that's really the why. And that's what drives me, because business is hard. There's always challenges. It's great that it's so successful, but there's always going to be these moments that are really hard. But I think it's the reason why you do it is what drives you to keep going. And I think that's important to always remember.
We've talked about the scent. I think we'd be remiss not to address the packaging, which is so fantastic and so critical for a modern brand. Like, the girlies are aesthetic. They need the products to look great, right? And so can you talk to us about the packaging, the process, the idea behind it? It's really great.
Thank you so much. Well, I also have a love for interior design, so that really came to play in this. I wanted something that, for me, it was funny. We went through a couple of directions, and I remember when we landed on this direction, it just felt completely right. I felt like I loved how it was colorful, so it looked good. But the wood element was like the last piece that we decided on, because I was like, we need something that speaks more wellness, and obviously wood is just very natural. And so it kind of just like all came together, and I was really adamant. I was like, it has to look good with other products. Like, that's something that I like, I'm all about aesthetic too. I try to be like really cool and perfect, but I'm not at all. But I do love, I love pretty things. And so it was important that, it really looked good, in your bathroom shower. It made you feel good, look good, smells good. And then obviously creating the hair product, I wanted to do something different. But, these are the things that you fight for. There's a lot of things that my partner, obviously kind of had their ideas. And I was like, no, we have to do it this way. And I feel like half the time I'm just just trying to convince them. Convince them on something that I'm like, I don't even know if this is right, but I'm convincing you because I think it is. That one was just obviously like I wanted something really clean and would obviously go well with the body care line. That wasn't like a complete departure, but still, kind of was in the same family.
You're hinting at something that I want these guys to know more about, which is how deeply involved in literally every single decision that you are. Like, you're not just the face of the thing or the idea behind the thing. Like, you are living and breathing this brand every single day. Is it exhausting?
No, I mean, yes and no, because, I am in it every single day. It's what I focus on. It's what I work on. Everyone's asked me, like, why am I not acting? And it's truly because I've worked so hard on this line. But I have so much fun doing it. And to me, I have 2 babies at home, and I just had my 6-month-old. She's 6 months, actually. I'm like, it's pretty big now.
Congratulations.
But thanks. But doing this allows me to spend a lot of time with them. So it's really, really awesome that I get to kind of create my own work schedule. Obviously with acting, it's like I'm kind of like, I have to do it, I have to be on set and all these different, places. And so it is hard, but it's also, there's so many positives about it. And it's like I said, when you know the reason why you want to do it, you're like, I wouldn't be able to just like watch someone, put something out, and especially this line, it's like, I'm down to even, my husband does the music for the social media videos. And I'm like, no. And it needs to sound like this. Like, I'm like that involved, like even invitations. I'm like, it is truly, but I love it. I love everything about it. It's a piece of me.
What do you think it takes to make a brand successful in the modern world?
I mean, I think it takes a lot of different things. I don't think it's just one thing. I think it's, knowing, I think for me, I knew so much about social media, and I knew so much, I could bring that to the table, I think, with my partner. And I actually am like really, it's pretty amazing how much my partner respected just even my ideas and continue to be. And I think that, once obviously we saw it be so successful, then you're like, oh, I do know what I'm talking about. And you feel more confident. But I really am someone who I think dives really into social media strategy. And I think it takes obviously that, but I think it takes, like why you're doing it, of course. And I really think that it's about how authentic it is, like I think that people can see that. I think that, if I were to tell friends of mine or celebrities, like, if you're going to do something, do it like 110%, don't just put your name on it because it feels so good, and, but yeah, I think there's just so many things that go into it. And I do think that a lot of it had to do with the scent. I feel like, when I went through Target, I was like, everything, a lot of it smells, like a little bit like Bath and Body Works, and which is good, but I just felt like this had this elevated thing that was different, and it was very different, which scared me because I was like, oh no, I'm like, hopefully people like the smell and the scent and the fragrance, but they obviously, they have. And I have to tell you, it's so wild because our top scent, which is cashmere vanilla, it is literally based off, so all my candles were benchmarks for the line, and cashmere vanilla was actually based off of my love of making Trader Joe's jasmine rice in my kitchen. I'm not kidding. And I was like, we have to make that a scent. And so the lab actually created a bubble, and I don't know, like literally just took the notes out, and cashmere vanilla is off of Trader Joe's jasmine rice. For real. And so to see that, I was like, whoa, like this is wild. Like, so I think that there's just a multitude of things that go into it, but it's really believing in what you're doing, I think.
Which is part of what's helped you build this really vibrant community around the brand. And I feel like community is a critical piece of brand success now. And it was really organic for you. Can you talk to us about the incredible community of, I wouldn't even call them customers or fans.
No.
There's so much more than
Yes, yeah. I feel like it's just, community is such a huge aspect of this. Obviously, from the very beginnings of Frenshe, the blog, the whole point of doing that was, we were in COVID at the time, and I, was home, and I just felt like I wanted to connect with people, and I'm sure everyone else wanted to connect too. And so that was really the beginning of Frenshe and building that community. But honestly, it's like to see anyone buy Being Frenshe, it's just so awesome. And like I said, I love the TikTok videos. We just I think get each other on such a different level. And it's so wild because half the time what everyone is asking for, we're already doing. So that's also when I know something is going really well, is that if you're really in line with your consumer, it's oh, this is the right, we're doing this right, so it's all of those comments, everything. And even I listened, we just had Moon Milk was a limited edition scent. It was for holiday, and it's so yummy. It smells like chai. It's what I love during the holidays. And it exploded. I could not believe. I was like, are people drinking this right now? Because they were so crazy about Moon Milk. But we are now going to, I probably should not be sharing this, but we're coming out with more. I was like, we probably should be sharing this, but we are coming out with more Moon Milk. And that's because I'm listening to obviously the community. So I just, it's awesome.
It's so well named too. Moon Milk is just such a it's unctuous and appealing and really lovely. So I'm really inspired by the fact that you have made this really big pivot, and that you've done it in the public eye. What advice do you have for people who are thinking about pivoting, want to do something different, maybe don't know how, or maybe scared of how it's going to look? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I definitely think that I would support it 100%, obviously do what you love. And if you have an idea, go for it and believe in it, because I think that that's most of it, is you have to believe in it to have others believe in it as well. And I think that just know you might fail, and that's okay, because everyone fails. So many successful people fail. And I think half the time we don't try something is because we are scared to fail. So, but do it, fail, and then get back up and try again, to be honest.
That's good. Very good advice. So looking ahead, what is next for you and what's next for Frenshe, Being Frenshe?
There is so much, obviously, next for Being Frenshe, but we obviously just launched hair, so I'm really excited about that. We took some of the favorite scents and put it into your hair products. And really for me, the whole vision for that was that I wanted to give your hair a break. There's so many times we're expecting our hair to look a certain way, but we don't ever actually just give it a rest, And I was diagnosed with alopecia in my 20s. And so, so I've had to learn a lot about scalp health and just letting my hair be and not expecting too much from it, because obviously I have flare-ups. And so really this is just a clean hairline that is all about kind of just giving your hair, a moment.
And so looking beyond, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what's your big vision for this brand? What's on your vision board?
I don't like to look too far ahead. I think that at one point early on, I was like, oh my gosh, if this is successful, I'm going to do this, and this. And then you do it and you're like, whew, this is a lot of work, So, and it's also, I think that for me, that's so typical to kind of saturate the whole, every category. And for me, I'm like, you got to stick to the vision. You got to stick to what you want. And I want, I don't want it to I want to be really, I guess, intentional about where we go. And that's important for me because I'm not going to do something that just to do it, just because. And I want it to make sense. And so I think that that I don't like to look too far ahead. When I created Frenshe, I had no idea that this was going to come out of it. When I started the body care line, I had no idea I would get the opportunity to go into a different category. So I kind of like not knowing because it's really exciting to see all like the little surprises.
You are so just inspiringly, refreshingly honest. It's really lovely.
Thank you.
And a phenomenal leader of this brand. It's truly incredible. Congratulations on your success.
Thank you so much.
And thank you all for being here with us
Thank
today.
you guys so much. This was so fun. I was really anxious at first, but now I feel so much better.